During the recent media chat of the FCT minister, he touched on the issue of Abuja's Indigenes and the issue of resettlement and compensation. Our guest tonight brings us some clarifications, which he says the minister does not have when it comes to that issue. According to him, paying Indigenes for cutting down economic trees is not the same as compensation for evicting them from their lands. And that's not all the Indigenes of the FCT are upset about. They claim they are not included in the board of the newly created North Central Development Commission and have been treated unfairly for decades. And they're tired of being made to feel like they don't exist. Well, we'll be listening to their side of the story tonight on Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Magwa. Let's begin with an update on the major stories this week from our nation's capital. It's time for our Abuja Wrap.
President Bola Tinubu has extended his heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Kano State over the tragic accident involving members of the Kano State contingent who were returning from the recently concluded National Sports Festival in Ogun State. According to a statement by the Special Advisor on Information Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President paid tribute to the accident victims whose dedication and aspirations in their various vocations embodied the resilient Nigerian spirit. In a related development, President Tinubu expressed deep concern over the severe flooding in Mokwa local government area of Niger State, which has led to the loss of lives and the displacement of numerous families. Upon receiving the initial reports, President Tinubu directed the immediate activation of the National Emergency Response Center and has since been fully briefed by the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) on the scale of the disaster and the urgent humanitarian needs. President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate release of 2 billion naira for the reconstruction of the houses affected by the flood in Mokwa, Niger State. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this during a visit to Mokwa following the devastating flood that destroyed lives and property and left hundreds displaced. The Vice President also said the President authorized the immediate release of 20 trucks of rice to be delivered to the victims. The serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakari, has stated his belief that it is time for concrete action to be taken to ensure Nigerians do not live in abject poverty. Speaking after he met with President Bola Tinubu in Lagos, the pastor also said he believes he would like to see a peaceful nation and good collaboration between the best of the North and the South to steer Nigeria in the right direction. He, however, declined to outline the focus of his discussion with the president. Vice President Kashim Shettima is urging Nigerians to rally round President Bola Tinubu to enjoy the dividends of democracy. The Vice President made this call in Abuja shortly after participating in the Eid prayer to mark this year's Eid at the Airport Road Prayer Ground in Abuja. He enjoins Nigerians to live a life of sacrifice by uniting to uphold the fortunes of Nigeria as a nation.
Life is a marathon, and as individuals we can run faster, but we can wear out easily. But as a family, as a collective, as a nation, we can gain greater traction and reach our desired destination. I would like to call on all Nigerians to rally around the president for us to reposition our nation for greatness.
Welcome back. My guest tonight is Mr. Ezekiel Dalhatu, former Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission representing the FCT, Chairman, National Peace Committee, FCT, spokesperson, FCT Stakeholders Assembly. Together, tonight, we try to understand what mistakes have been made against Abuja's Indigenes and how these injustices can be fixed by the current administration. Mr. Ezekiel Dalhatu, welcome again to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you.
The House Committee on Area Council just met this week. I don't want to be able to, go into all of the details of it, but just in your view, because you were there, what's the arrangement now? Because it was all about resettlement of Indigenes and something about compensations, but we heard that this has been sorted out for a very long time.
I'm glad to be here once again, just like you welcome me, and an opportunity again to educate Nigerians on the issues that surrounds the indigenous people of the FCT that has over the years been treated with disdain. The public hearing today again unearthed a whole lot of issues as it concerns the indigenous people with the issues surrounding resettlement and compensation. The narrative of the Abuja indigenous people have been resettled or compensated for a long time is a wrong narrative, negative for that matter. And today's public hearing organized by the the Committee on Federal Capital Territory and Ancillary Matter, Area Councils and Ancillary Matter, really goes further to unearth a lot of issues that has to do with the resettlement compensation.
Explain to me.
Clearly,
has there been any payment done to FCT Indigenes?
there is none.
No payments.
No payments.
We heard the minister in his briefing. He was referring to Paduma.
Yeah.
And he said that compensation had been paid to those people. When we hear about the Indigenes that are along Lugbe, the expressway, we hear that it was a resettlement that moved them there and that compensations have been given to them.
Wrong narrative all through. And I'm sure the Honorable Minister, Barrister Yose Wuke, that I respect so much, will have not been properly briefed, maybe by the directors and all of that. There is no way government will pay compensation to an entire community such as Paduma and you still have the people stay put. It's not possible. And I challenge anyone to come forth with the documents of the compensation. Government is not a charity organization. If it gives you a dime, it will have its record. The names and persons and then the amount paid to them and reasons for the payment, let it be laid to the public glare. There is no such document, I can tell you for free, especially with Paduma. That's why I say what has happened over the year is people will come and say this land, they have a location on it. Specifically and more often, the farmlands, where around Kuzape here you will see a lot of cashew tree, vegetations and all of that. And most time they come through the resettlement and compensation. We have a title document we want to take over to develop, and then the indigenous people will say, this is our farmland, this is where we normally get our food, this is where we fend for ourselves, this is where our economic activity all lies. And so for you to take it away, just as it's enshrined in the Land Use Act, you pay some form of compensation for the economic trees. And in such cases, you will see people coming, and if you see the ridiculous amount that is usually being paid, I'm not sure other Nigerians will even take that.
It's like 2,000
1,000 per tree,
2,000 per tree.
and you are paying this to take this person away for life on that same ground where he's farming to feed his family, where he's farming to get money to pay school fees, where he's farming to pay health bills, because their health challenge, their health bills are not being handled by government. They don't give them scholarship. They are not on free scholarship for their children. This is where the only economic activity is. Remember, they are not given any priority in terms of employment. So the only way they survive is through this farming. That is the primary occupation of the people of the FCT. So you are given 2,000 or 1,000 as the case may be, just
per
like
tree.
You can witness per tree.
Yes.
And then the person goes for life. For 3, what about the value for the land? So all those things, all those narrative, so sometime when you hear they have been paid some form of compensation, is this economic tree normally on their farmland where they do their farming activity. But the communities where they live with their houses, residential places that they have been living hundreds of years before the advent of even anybody thinking of bringing the FCT, nobody have paid them any form of compensation to suggest that they have been settled.
I've been watching clips online of Abuja Indigenes going on protests, and they say something about the North Central Development Commission and how no indigene is on the board.
There is an established act signed, passed and signed by Mr. President to establish North Central Development Commission, and how to get the board members, executive directors, all we spelled out that every state, member state, 7 of them in the North Central, all member states, we nominate indigene of that state into the board membership, executive director, and the chairmanship of the board. The board has been constituted. The chairman of the board is from Benue. They have executive director. Other states have executive director. FCT has nobody representing them as executive director. And the slot written clearly, board member for FCT, board member representing FCT, was given to one Solomon Adadu, who is also from Benue State, so to say. He's not an indigene of the FCT. So invariably, nobody from the FCT is represented
Is it assumed that he's a resident of the FCT?
Whatever it is not an indigene of the FCT, because
and you're saying that the act
clearly
stipulates
states it.
that it must
Section
be
2A of the act that an indigene of the member state shall be nominated to occupy this position. So this has been the problem. The initial idea of bringing federal capital to Abuja was such that it will be on a virgin land where nobody settles. There was an Aguda panel that was set up to do a kind of survey to check the suitable place that the capital city of Nigeria will be sited, seeing the kind of challenges they have in Lagos about ownership of land and then the space and all of that. They went to places and then came up with a recommendation with regards to the Abuja. And at that time, from their survey report, there were 858 communities seated that they are called the original inhabitants of Abuja, the aborigines, people that have all along been here. I tell you for free that the panel, Aguda committee, met these communities and these people, indigenous people, the original inhabitants, in place. 9 indigenous tribes: the Basa, the Gede, the Amwamwa, the Igbira, the Gwandara, the Koro, the Gbagi, and the Gbari. Is there any other one again? 9 indigenous tribes among these 858 communities that were seated. And when the capital city was to be moved completely to have every government infrastructure, it was to be done as though we have meeting a virgin land. So the idea was these people who met here will be resettled, evacuated to other places like Nasarawa State, Kogi State, Niger State, Kaduna, and all of that. But then when Obasanjo came in to do this resettlement, it was far way 4 times Nigeria budget, the bill they had to resettle everybody in the FCT. It was far way 4 times Nigeria budget as at then. And Obasanjo, in his wisdom, now said, what we do, this resettlement is not visible because we don't have the fund to get it done, to move everybody out of the entire 8,000 kilometers square. And so what will happen is we will commence development of the capital city with the original inhabitants in it, but whoever want to leave, because of this development that is coming, if you want to leave, the government will provide an alternative place for you to live and also give you some form of compensation. In their wisdom that development will continue, as soon as they get to any community, as soon as development gets to any community, government will now decide on what to do with the community at that particular and material time. So remember, the development now started in the central district area, where you have the Maitama, where you have the, because that was needed for immediate development, for Aso Rock, for federal secretariats, and places like that. That was why the communities that were there then, Maitama, Kukwaba, all those places, and Wuse, where Wuse Market is and all of that, they were now, they were approached to give way for these public overriding interests. And that was how Maitama was moved to Kubwa. If you go to Kubwa, there is Maitama. The original Maitama was in this Maitama that you see. They were now moved to Kubwa to make way for this development that happened, where you now have your Aso Rock and other places. Wuse was moved to Sabon Wuse along the Kaduna Road. Okay. That one is in Niger State. You have Karu, because it was an alternative. Some persons say, we are moving nowhere. This is our ancestral land. And they were given their leverage by government. They have the right to either stay or to move. So that's why you now have New Karu. And people who say they are going nowhere are still there in Old Karu.
So just before we go on this break, to be clear, No lump sum was given, but when the movements were happening bit by bit, were some people given something? Or is it just this money for trees?
Okay, now, when it gets to movement, as I told you about the Metama, it was government who went and built that place for them in Cuba.
Okay.
So there was no need giving them any money.
All right. We do have to go on a short break.
All right.
We'll continue this conversation shortly.
Okay.
Please stay with us on Dateline Abuja. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Dateline Abuja. If you've just joined us, we've been talking about Abuja's Indigenes and some very interesting updates that we're getting from Mr. Ezekiel Dalhatu. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you.
I have to state something that we heard the FCT minister say, and it's a feeling that many Abuja residents have. You know, Abuja has been marketed. I don't like using the word, but many people try to market Abuja as no man's land. It's a place where all of us belong to. As long as you live and work here, you have the same rights as every other person who lives and works here, indigene or not. You know, it is the nation's capital. It has that flavor. Many places around the world that are capital cities have that same flavor. Is there something that can be done to ensure that FCT indigenes are given their rights, so to speak, and not treated as though they never existed?
The oldest culture in life is humanity. Oldest so far. You can be anything, but you are first of all a human being. From a moral perspective, how do you say Abuja is a no man's land? When a committee that was set up by federal government came and even gave a report of existing communities, they didn't fall from heaven. And that's why in our everyday way of giving cooperation and helping government to resolve some of these things, we have brought in so many memorandum and suggestions. As we speak, with the current arrangement, I can never be governor because I don't have a state. The Constitution did not have any provision of making me stateless. But by implementation, and with what is happening today, I am stateless. Even when the Constitution have said I should be treated as one of the states, but I'm not. We don't have a governor, we don't have a House of Assembly. The President of Nigeria is said to be the governor of the people of the FCT, and then the entire National Assembly to be House of Assembly for the people of FCT. When other Nigerians will go out in 2027 again to elect their governors, the entire people of the FCT will be at home on recess, because we do not have that privilege. But the Constitution have talked about discrimination, that we should not be discriminated upon. There should be equality in treatment. The spirit and letter of Constitution suggests that everybody should be treated equally. So what's happening to the people of the FCT? New York, US, Canada, everywhere, all over the world, Singapore. Go and see how they treat their own aborigines. The people that the city of government mates, how they treat them. They treat them as though they are ex. They see them as special citizens. They put them on free education, free medication. In fact, there is a place in Canada where the Aborigines go to eat 3 times in a day. That is how much the government value them. But in our case in the FCT, we are treated as though we are foreigners in our own land. I have just begged you to carry your cameras and go to Wasa resettlements. It's purely a semblance of IDP camp. Is that how we should be treated? And so there's a whole lot that is happening that is normally, morally, and legally is not supposed to happen.
Before we wrap up, one of the things that the FCT minister talked about was your representation in government. He said, look, this is the administration where Abuja Indigenes had representation. You have the Minister of Special Duties. There is some semblance of a civil service. You have mandate secretaries. He created mandate secretaries, which didn't exist before, if we're being fair. Many of those mandate secretaries, he said, are indigenes of the FCT. So it may not be where you want it to be, but it's better than where you were before. Do you agree with this?
Now, in fairness to the Honorable Minister, all this I have said, I'm not heaping it on him to say he created a problem, or neither is Tinubu that created a problem. They all inherited it. But President Tinubu is aware of this, and seeking mandate to lead Nigeria is such that he will have the capacity, which we all know he has, to resolve some of these issues. And the FCT minister, just like he said, some of the efforts being made, we are giving it to him that, yes, he's coming forth with the solution. The recent happening that happened in Gishiri, the road construction corridor and the drama in between it and all of that, he finally came down, called them to table, on the table, and he was very, very genuine in resolving the issues. Give them allocation, give them R04, pay them proper compensation. And that is leadership, and we are giving it to him. The dispensation of democracy is only now that Tinubu came and gave us Minister Gisalo. Whether he's doing wonderfully well or not is another different kettle of fish. But we have a representative, and then we could see him meeting at the Federal Executive Council and all of that. We want him to do more, actually, because he's the first ever. And so the onus lies on him to really drive some of these yearnings and aspirations.
What
of
the senator representing
for the senator of the FCT,
Senator Ireti Kingibe?
Yeah, for Senator Ireti Kingibe, a lot of people will say she's disseminating much energy, trying to concentrate on the minister, trying to back and forth, and all of that, and then leaving the critical issues that has to, because we've seen her over time coming to complain how she's not been taken along, and the minister will come and say, how do you want me to kill you? You have never been my friend, and all. So we have other issues we want her to concentrate on. Yes, we've seen her going to rehabilitate some boreholes.
Is she an indigene of the FCT?
No, she's not. She's not. She's a resident of the FCT. She's been here for a while, actually. Let's give it to that. She's been here quite a long time doing her politics with the people of the FCT, and sometimes lending her voice to the way we are treated as FCT people. So in fairness to her, she's been doing that. A lot of people, the people of the FCT really want her to really come forth more to interface with them, especially, have some town hall meeting, sit with them, traditional rulers, and then bring the issues of FCT to the more front burner. Let them see her. She's doing her best. We'll cast aspersion. She's doing her best. We'll see her standing up on the Senate to raise one or two issues that has to do with the FCT, but we really, really, really need to see her do more. So all of these government elective positions, political elective position and appointee, it is really time that we need to really come together, give the honorable minister the needed support and the right information. I choose that word carefully, with the right information on how things should be.
I mean, as we're wrapping up, it's interesting that you brought that up, because, I did say that he goes everywhere with your former senator, Senator Philip Aduda, who is, I think he's Baggy.
Yeah, he's Baggy.
He's Baggy. He's an indigenous person of the FCT.
Yes.
And it's always got me thinking, because I just assumed that he would always be pushing forward.
Yeah, so sometimes
the ideals and the needs of indigenes, with his closeness to the minister.
Yeah, sometimes when you hear Wike is in Yebu, or he's in Kwaita, or he's in Galui, or he's in Tokulo, you wonder, how did he get to know? So when you turn your back and see that Aduda is beside him, we tend to believe that,
this is someone who's helping,
this place because this person is with him. Well, we get to see indigenous people being appointed into positions of authority, head of civil service, whatever, engineering, FCDA, and then all. So what we should believe is he has a friend that is always with him and is giving him the right information. But whatever it is, it can never be too much if we're asking him to do more. And they give him the more needed information that will continue to address the yearning and the aspiration of the people of the FCT. He's doing his best. We are seeing it practically, but we actually want him to do more. So we don't have this narrative of they have been compensated long before, and then the next day you will come and see that actually the books are not giving you the. So there are people somewhere other than Aduda, because an Aduda cannot be all over him. He may not be seated with him in the office. I'm not sure Aduda can raise any memo to him or what capacity, because he's not occupying any government position. So he may intend to work with some of the things he sees in his books and files. And so we want to encourage the Honorable Minister to repose confidence on our Aduda. You clarify certain things to get so much information that will help her, because in the long run, it will be a win-win. Government we'll have a semblance of peaceful coexistence of Nigerians in the FCT, because the indigenous people and the landowners are well settled and they are happy with the presence of government and what's happening, and also the support needed by Mr. President, either politically and otherwise. You won't need to sweat to get it, because of course these are people with so much good conscience that we all know. You can't do them good and they come to pay you with evil.
Well, I think we have to wrap it up there, Mr. Dalhatu. I want to thank you very much for your insights today. And I know we're going to get a response really from the FCT administration, but I want to thank you for being with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Magwa. See you next time.